obviously the spacecraft splashdown.
Welcome everybody. We are live as Dragon is being hauled onto the landing boat. It just splashed down
so we can see some
30 minutes ago and has been recovered. God bless all the crew and everybody involved in bringing the astronauts back
and it's
home.
been 30 minutes
God bless
since
President Trump and most importantly Elon Musk and SpaceX and everybody involved.
Continuing to move very smoothly today throughout the entire
and I'm going to
operation
turn off. I have it live on my cell phone
as well.
And Freedom, it looks like the positioning wasn't quite right, so they are working on repositioning the capsule in the nest now.
Okay, copy that. Thanks.
And the positioning wasn't right, so they're currently
the Dragon
repositioning.
spacecraft a bit so that it's in the right position ahead of translating up a little bit closer ahead of the side hatch. So the team is now going to step through the procedures to ensure that that takes place.
While Dragon does fly itself autonomously, it clearly is unable to park itself autonomously. We want to make sure that the Dragon capsule is properly seated there in that nest. Once Dragon is fully seated in the nest, we'll probably see a bunch of that salt water come out from the bucket there located underneath the side hatch. See some salt water splash out. As I mentioned before, one of the recovery team members will begin hosing down the exterior of the spacecraft.
So you are continuing to get some great live views on your screen of Crew 9, which includes NASA astronauts Nick Hague, Sunny Williams, Butch Wilmore, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, who splashed down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida, 2:57 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon. Now working to get that spacecraft situated in the nest. Just making some final adjustments and tweaks to ensure that it's nice and secure.
Once the spacecraft is seated and secured and oriented correctly in the nest, Dragon will be moved into the hangar located underneath that helipad that we saw earlier from the aerial views during recovery.
All right, Freedom, looks like you are settled into the nest now. Team is working through hypergol sweeps.
So the initial positioning of
Call out
the
there telling us
spacecraft
that the
was
recovery
not
team
accurate.
is doing the second round of those hypergolic sweeps. This helps ensure that everyone, all the recovery team members that are located basically right where this camera is located on, towards the forward end of the recovery vessel, that they will all be safe once the spacecraft is translated forward. So we're just doing some additional steps to make sure that the hypergolic propellant that is utilized for maneuvering the Dragon capsule while on orbit, making sure that none of those vapors are still present on the exterior of the capsule.
And the vapors are toxic, and inhalation can
That's right, and
mean
there are a variety of
death.
individuals
So you really need to
on
be
board
careful.
the boat that help with recovery operations. Not only do we have the recovery personnel that you see here, but we also have a doctor that will check out the crew members as standard procedure. As with any spacecraft that is returning from space, we always perform a medical check with the crew. So you will see the crew come out of the capsule and be placed on stretchers, just like with the Soyuz landing and with all of our Dragon splashdowns. That is the nominal procedure. We'll stand by to see Dragon Freedom translate or scooch up a little bit closer to the camera angle that we're seeing right here. And then teams will step through procedures to get that side hatch opened. You see it right in the dead of center of your screen there. It's kind of that rectangular shape. It has not been opened since since Crew 9, which include Nick Hagan, Alexander Gorbanov, launched back in September from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So that will be the very first time that hatch is opened. Once docked to the International Space Station, crew enter through the top hatch, which was where the nose cone is now closed. That's the hatch that they actually utilize to go ahead and get inside the International Space Station.
Having your information freely available on the internet makes it easier for anyone to impersonate you online or even try to find you in real life. You want to get your name, age, email, phone number, and home address off of the internet. There are hundreds of.
Okay, so I'm going to put that, not skipping. There we go. Okay, so we'll go back into it. Right now, I don't have the paid version of YouTube, and when you're sharing the screen, it just will not let you skip commercials.
Note that Nick, Sonny, Butch, and Alexander will be getting assistance from the recovery teams while exiting the spacecraft. This is the same process for any returning long-duration crew members.
They've almost been in space for a year.
Gravity environment can wreak havoc on our vestibular system.
Yes,
which is responsible for maintaining balance and motion. Of course, safety is our number one priority with this operation. So we'll see the crew members helped out of the spacecraft one by one, and they will be assisted.
So basically what they're saying is that they've been in space for around between 278 and 286 days, almost an entire year. And the first time they used their body muscles, it could be havoc.
And he completed
You're not
171 days
experiencing gravity in almost 12 months. So they're going to need some physical assistance just with the process of getting up to stand and walking up out of the vessel. We will await until this occurs.
Joined us. Well, I would encourage you to hit that rewind button and go back a few minutes. It was a beautiful splashdown of Dragon Freedom with the Crew 9 cohort on board. They had an on-time splashdown at 5:57 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:57 p.m. Pacific Time. We can see that the spacecraft
Freedom translation is in progress.
Copy. And seal it.
we can see that spacecraft was successfully recovered from the ocean surface and is now being washed with fresh water, as obviously they splashed down in salt water. So
this is awesome to see.
Salt water as possible, and we can see the spacecraft continuing to move closer and closer to that recovery deck.
Freedom, the crew is working on side hatch opening now.
They're about to open the side hatch. This is great.
Okay, copy that. And Kira, just wanted to say that you guys, you and the team did an awesome job, both uphill and downhill. Just really, really impressed. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. It's been an honor.
This is a pretty exciting moment coming up. We are working to open the side hatch. One thing that may not be obvious from, just looking at the spacecraft here is that this side hatch that we're about to open, the last time it was open was when this spacecraft was at the launch pad. This side hatch is what is used for initial capsule ingress and final capsule egress, but all comings and goings from the spacecraft while it is on board the space station are from the forward hatch, which is located at the top of the spacecraft under that nose cone. So this is a pretty exciting moment because it will be the crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding their ships at the start of their journeys last year.
And the very first person that will have the opportunity to say hello to the crew once that hatch is open is a SpaceX medical recovery personnel representative. Then we'll see procedures take place to remove the footrests of Dragon. That will just help the recovery personnel get a little bit more room to access the crew and help get them out of the spacecraft.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Safety is once again top priority here, and removing those footrests from all 4 seats will be helpful as a recovery, as a SpaceX recovery team member will actually go into the capsule, into Dragon Freedom to help the crew members unbuckle and stand up, and essentially we'll also see a fun little slide be put in place to help the crew members exit the spacecraft safely. So yeah, we're going to remove all 4 of those footrests to basically give a little bit more working room inside the spacecraft.
That's right. And we did hear the go for that hatch opening. So we're just a couple minutes away from being able to see that. And then we might be able to get the chance to see a couple of views inside of the Dragon and see the crew following their splashdown.
Now, opening that side hatch isn't quite like opening, the door to your car. We have to depress the seal around the side hatch, as well as, we'll now see them open that side hatch up.
And as you can see all on the outside, that dark brown stuff is plasma that is built
And
up,
there you have it. The
as
side
well
hatch
as
is open for the
burning
first time
from
since September.
re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
We can see some of the protective equipment there that was brought into frame that will help protect the edge of the side hatch, one from any potential damage. Oh, we can see the recovery crew member there taking photos of the side hatch seal. This is part of the standard operation for recovery. These photos will get saved into our procedure. We'll then install that protective frame around the side hatch. This helps to ensure that the side hatch itself, the edges of it, incur no damage while crew members are coming out from the spacecraft. If you missed it, there was also a recovery team member that went inside. So there are now 5 people on board the Dragon spacecraft.
And if you are just joining us, it has not yet even been an hour since Crew 9 splashed down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time. The crew is now on board the
see that
recovery
where
vessel
the
Megan,
darkness,
and
the
hatch
blackness
is open.
is the
Next major
burning
milestone that we'll see
from
is when the
re-entering the
crew
Earth's
will
atmosphere.
actually egress or exit the spacecraft.
A lot of
But
the
before that,
brown
they'll
is
continue
both
to
plasma
the
buildup
recovery
as
personnel
well as
rather will continue
plasma
to
being
install that
burned as
protective
because
barrier around the
remember,
hatch and then remove the footrests. So we're a
the
couple minutes away
spacecraft
from seeing the
enters
crew
the Earth's
egress, but
atmosphere
not too long
traveling
away.
at 17,500 miles per hour. Once again, the aircraft enters the Earth's atmosphere at 17,500 miles per hour and slows to 350 miles per hour
Of course, we
before
got to get
deploying
a
Earth's
well-documented
set
photo of the
of
moment.
parachutes. And then the
Although
main
we can't see it from
parachutes
here, I am
are
pretty sure there
sent
are
out.
4 smiles on board right now.
And we did hear that report out from the commander, Nick Hague, following splashdown, that there were four smiles as far as he could see.
Yeah, capsule full of grins. Generally speaking,
and there we do see Crew 9, some happy waves, smiles all around, back on Earth.
4 people alive, safe, and secure, and back on Earth after being in space on the International Space Station between 278 and 286 days.
The individuals in the 2 center seats.
And the reason why President Biden didn't have them return earlier,
you might hear us
political
refer to this
reasons.
as the exit process as egress. It's just another term for exiting the spacecraft. Generally speaking, we most of the time have the 2 center seats egress first, as it makes moving around inside the capsule a little bit easier. We can see the tablets that were previously located on the upper leg of the crew members. We can see those being handed out to the recovery team. Those were taken off prior to the entry phase, to spacecraft reentry. Those had to be stored and secured prior to dynamic operations.
It looks like we are starting to see the footrests also be removed. I just saw one there on the screen. There are 4, of course, 1 for each crew member.
Those footrests are made out of carbon fiber and are actually sized appropriately for each crew member, as everybody has different measurements and different leg lengths. Same goes for the armrests and the bucket length of each seat. We size those appropriately for the crew members and to ensure their comfort and safety. I believe we just saw the little ramp that is used to help slide the crew members out from inside the spacecraft.
And once the crew does exit Dragon Freedom, they will be placed on to a structure to go to a medical bay for medical checkouts. This is standard procedure for all Dragon spacecraft flights that splash down crewed, as well as for our Soyuz spacecraft that land in Kazakhstan.
We can see the exterior of Dragon Freedom quite clearly in this shot, and it's such a beautiful sight. I personally prefer the capsule when it has some of that charring from atmospheric reentry. It is the signature sign of a capsule that has returned to Earth.
Continuing to stand by for our first crew member to egress or exit for Dragon Freedom, following their splashdown at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time. Dragon undocked from the International Space Station at 10:05 p.m. Pacific just yesterday, so it was about 17 hours of phasing.
And we are waiting to see our beautiful humans, Americans,
And while on board the International Space Station, Crew 9 contributed to 900 hours of science, over 150 research experiments and investigations. making great use of the microgravity lab of the International Space Station, which celebrates 25 years of continuous human presence this November.
Looks like we're about to get our first crew member here upon egress of the Dragon spacecraft.
So we are standing by for that egress. Outside of Dragon, you do see one of those stretchers. This is the expected procedure as the crew will be taken to medical facilities following their exit from Dragon.
And this is the first astronaut helped out, clearly unable to stand.
We can see folks on board clapping as our first crew member.
You see?
And that is NASA
They
astronaut
cannot.
Nick Hague,
Nick
commander
Hague.
of Crew 9.
They have to be put on a
Now
stretcher
out of Crew Dragon Freedom.
because they are unable to stand or walk.
Some smiles, thumbs up, and a wave. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, that is one happy camper, that's for sure. As we said before, it is standard procedure for all of our long duration crew members to receive assistance upon egressing from the spacecraft. We basically help them move off of the recovery deck and into the private medical quarters for their initial consultation with the SpaceX flight surgeon. So we'll see that take place for all 4 of our crew members today.
And we are standing by for the next crew member to exit Freedom.
And our second member is coming out.
Next up out of the capsule, we expect Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. His first space flight. Spent 171 days in space alongside NASA astronaut Nick Hague.
Looks like we're getting some cheers and clapping on board.
And he is sitting
As
down.
Alexander
Now they're pulling him up.
Slid down the little ramp and placed into the mobility aid. Once again, big smile.
We can see they barely can move their legs, so it'll probably take a day or two for them to be able to stand up. And then they'll have to go through some rehab and do daily exercises.
Now, the 2 crew members remaining in Dragon are NASA astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore. They completed 286 days in space.
One of the remaining footrests being removed.
So the
from
first 2 astronauts
Dragon
were in space
spacecraft.
for 278 days. The remaining, Sunny and Butch, have been in space for 286. 287.
As I said before, we generally try to have the crew members
278 and
286
286.
aboard Dragon. And we like to have them egress first if possible, as it creates a little bit more movable working room inside the spacecraft. There is a recovery crew member inside that is helping all of our Crew 9 crew egress or exit from the spacecraft.
We are standing by for the next crew member to egress or exit Crew Dragon Freedom following the splashdown not even an hour ago at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time. Really have the recovery operations down pretty quick at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think that, just 5 years ago when we were doing the initial demonstration missions of the Dragon for Crew Dragon, that now we're under about 30 minutes for, to retrieve the spacecraft from the water, and just several minutes here while it's been on board, and to get everyone really to get that side hatch open. For those of you that have just recently joined, the Dragon had an on-time splashdown. Oh, it looks like we're getting our next crew member here.
Sunny.
That is none other than Sunny Williams. Big smile, big waves. She, like her other crew members, now will be assisted onto the mobility aid.
There we have it, some waves, some thumbs up, and some smiles.
Last but
Definitely
not
seems
least,
to be
Butch.
a theme among all recovery operations.
Absolutely. And of course, that leaves NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore inside Dragon in seat 4.
And that makes it easy for him to get out pretty quickly. And they don't have the stretcher yet.
We're getting some views of him now as he egresses or exits the spacecraft.
Once again, some elation and cheers there.
Now all of our astronauts
as we mentioned
are
before,
safe. They returned home. They've exited the aircraft, and we want to thank God for this. And we want to thank SpaceX, Elon Musk, President Trump, and every member of the crew and Navy and Air Force that was involved in this process, including the ladies doing the announcements right now with SpaceX. So with that, everybody, we're going to exit now. God bless you all. Please watch
Nick,
the
Butch, Sunny, and
rewind
Alexander
of this.
safely
Definitely
back home
rewind
on Earth
this.
and getting checked out by the NASA medical team, we're going to wrap up our live coverage of their return. The Crew 9 mission began a little differently than usual since Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams were already aboard the space station when Nick Hague and Alexander Gorbunov arrived on the Crew 9 spacecraft in September. Having arrived as the crew flight test crew for Starliner, Wilmore and Williams were fully incorporated into the space station's Expedition 72 team and began research and other work aboard the station along with the other crew members. Williams commanded the orbiting laboratory for much of the expedition. After a successful liftoff and separation from Falcon 9, Nick and Alexander made a short flight on board Dragon to the International Space Station. Veterans of long-duration space station missions, both Williams and Wilmore conducted spacewalks during their 9 months in space. Like all crews on the station, Crew 9 had the ability to leave at any point had there been an emergency. With their full-duration mission coming to an end, the crew began packing up their personal items for their return to Earth about a week ago and worked through tasks and shared lessons learned with crew.
And with that, we're going to sign off here with Crypto Kid TV. And we're going to go out here. All right. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to see anything, just rewind and you can take a look at this again. This is an awesome occasion. Once again, SpaceX has delivered all 4 astronauts that were in the International Space Station back to Earth. They are safely now out of the aircraft. Thank you for being here. God bless us all. We'll see you again. Thank you. Take care.